Друзья, привет!
Dear friends, hello there, how are you doing? Okay, now, let us give a different round of applause. It's not like there's 90 of us here, but imagine there's 2,000 of us, like we used to come together before, just like this. Dear friends, welcome, welcome, welcome to the 9th meetup of Dodo. The 9th annual meetup. The first one was in 2012. In the forest near Syktyvkar, the city in the east of Russia. There was about 30 people of us back then. Now we're hosting the second online meetup. The previous one was also online. Why do we need these meetups? Initially, we decided to meet every year so that partners and us together could talk to one another and share the most important news, pieces of news, talk about strategies, talk about challenges, and we have been doing this for 9 years in a row. Unfortunately, this year, we cannot meet up as tightly as previously. We cannot meet face to face with many of us, but I truly hope that the next or the future meetup will be happening offline face-to-face. This one is quite unusual, quite peculiar. Today, in the beginning, I will not be speaking too much about the actual solutions, hands-down, hands-on, strategical approaches and tactical ideas. My colleagues, however, from Dodo Eurasia, Dodo Great Britain will be talking to us, and my colleagues from Drinkit and Dodo 42, our two startups, will be telling about that. But I will speak about the things that matter for all of our markets and all of our concepts. Our meetups change year to year. Probably next year it will also be different. We are growing bigger, and probably one day is not good enough for us. Probably we'll be hosting separate meetups for Drinkit, Donor, and Dodo. We'll see next year. Overall, life is ever-changing, and I love this quote. You probably have heard this quote, a bit of a Buddhist sort of quote, but it's attributed to the British philosopher and writer Jonathan Swift. There is nothing more permanent in the world than change. There is nothing more permanent than change. Every day, something, anything in the world is changing. If you'd ask me how I would entitle the previous year, that would be the year of uncertainty. The year of change, the year of ambiguity, when we don't know what will be happening next year, next day, and next month. I mean, that the year 2020 was the year of business to money. And you know, business in the fog, like hedgehog in the fog. So in 2002, there was this book published by Nahim Taleb. It's called Black Swan. What is a black swan? What did the author entitle as the Black Swan? This is the event that we could not predict. Nassim Swap is the author of the book. So Black Swan is the event that has tremendous consequences. So if you'd ask me, a year ago, what is this Black Swan? When will the pandemic end? I'd say, guys, it will take like 6 months. We'll be living our ordinary life, traveling from city to country. But it looks like this thing is not going away. And we should admit that we will constantly living in the conditions of uncertainty in this ever-changing world. So let us see how we have been living this previous year, how we've been able to get along this year. Last year, when I've been presenting at this sort of online meetup, the overall revenue of our chain was over 22 billion rubles, starting with midsummer 2019 to midsummer 2020. So, during the similar period from 20 to 21, our revenue increased to 32.6 billion rubles, over 10 billion rubles growth, which is 49% revenue growth, 48% revenue growth. That seems to be pretty significant for our economics. That is a tremendous growth of 48% year to year. Compare this growth to the previous year, 2019-2020. The non-COVID year, that was only 26%. I mean, we've doubled our pace of growth. Doubled! If we look at the largest market of ours, Russia grew by 46%, and overall revenue of Dodo in Russia is 28.2 billion rubles. And globally, we've increased by 60% in the rest of the world with the revenue growth of 4.2 billion rubles. I remember the year when we celebrated 1 billion of revenue. That seemed to be tremendous back then. Now, our overall revenue outside of Russia is 4.2 billion rubles. That's our sales. All of our markets were growing. Kazakhstan, our second largest market, the annual revenue was 1.72 billion rubles. Belarus, almost 1 billion rubles revenue and 79% growth. A tremendous figure. Lithuania, small country, but 545 million rubles revenue. Estonia, plus 60%. Romania, plus 39%. Kyrgyzstan, plus 86% revenue. Small Kyrgyzstan, 169 million rubles of revenue. Great Britain, plus 35%. Uzbekistan, 107%. Nigeria, almost 300% year to year growth. And small Slovenia. There's only one restaurant there, but growing by 74%. A very good figure for annual sales. Almost 1 million euros revenue for one pizza restaurant. But not only sales have increased. Our entire chain was growing and expanding as well. Last year, when I was presenting, we had 619 restaurants. Now we have 714 restaurants, plus 95 restaurants year to year. And I think this is an awesome figure, because we have been growing in spite of pandemic. We have been growing in spite of all the complications that we have faced. So many restaurants had to close, but overall sales, overall revenue of our network, conservative forecast, by the way, for 2021 is supposed to be 37 million rubles of sales and revenue. But we're going to get to 39 millions if we truly fulfill our strategy. What is 39 billion rubles? That is over $500 million annual sales, annual revenue. Quite a significant figure compared to other global chains. And we do realize that it will take us 2 or 3 years and we'll get to a psychological benchmark of $1 billion of revenue, which seemed to be absolutely fantastic just a few years ago. I mean, we love these fancy figures. $1 billion seemed to be fantastic. For a small Russian brand, which was only created 10 years ago, a company that only entered market in a small town of Syktyvkar a few years ago. So let me ask a question now. It's been a complex year, the pandemic. How come we increased so much? How come we have been able to achieve evidently great results? The answer might be surprising, but we got lucky. We got lucky. Why? Because the market was truly favorable to us. The restaurants were closed. Delivery was skyrocketing. The landscape of market was changing. The consumption models were changing. And that gave us an opportunity to truly grow. We caught this wave, and we have been riding it. Because the growth that we have evidenced this year is truly fantastic, we have to admit it. But the most important thing that we have caught the wave, and we have been able to ride the wave. But we were ready to catch that wave. We were ready. What happened in the market? We were using the actual market conditions, the skyrocketing delivery. But we had the tools ready. And we have been using the tools that we have prepared before. We have always been strong with delivery. We had a decent and beautiful mobile app. We were not dependent on delivery aggregators. We did not work with aggregators. We were building our own brand up. We were flexible. We were changing quickly. We had very good interactions with our partners, and we could solve complex challenges together. And that was the thing that helped us to achieve the results. If we compare our results, for example, with another publicly traded company, they were in the same segment, in the same situation, pizza delivery. And we shall see that our results are so much better. We have truly accelerated. Domino's Russia, a public company, traded at London Stock Exchange. That's why they publish their sales reports, etc. So the overall sales from January to April, the growth of their sales was 7.5%. Our growth was over 52%. Domino had sales growth of a bit over 7%. For us, it's 52% plus. If we compare like for like, so the increase of sales for the same restaurant year to year, Domino's increased by 17%. We evidenced the growth of over 34%. That's more by the factor of 3. So that definitely shows that the things that we were doing helped us to approach the market and be ready. So today I want to be talking about what are the major difficulties or challenges for us at the moment and in the upcoming future. I mean, the meetup is the way to talk about the things that matter. Perhaps you'll think that I'm talking about obvious or generalistic things, but I would like you to embrace the thing that I'm talking about today. I want these ideas to make an impact on you because they matter for the future. We need to understand what we need to improve for the future. And no matter what sort of black or white swans we encounter in the future, we will be ready. I mean, these swans might be black, super black, actually white, because this pandemic was truly a white swan, not a black swan. It was a black swan for so many niches and markets, but this particular swan was white for Dodo. But situations might be different. So, the first thing that I want to talk about today is people. People. Sounds obvious. However, that is the foundation for long-term success of any business, and our business in particular. Let me explain. No matter what sort of brand we build, no matter how much we invest into brand awareness, how many doner coffee places or pizza restaurants we open, no matter how good logistics we build, if in our restaurants, coffee places, or doner places, there's no awesome team, all of these things will fall apart. I have faced situations many times when partners were opening big chains, but 2 or 3 people left the business, and business just fell apart because our business is based on people. Business without strong people, strong team, or system of HR management, this is just the 3 little pigs' house, and the wolf can easily blow it off. We need to understand that we need to invest in people, as obvious as it sounds, but we should do this. We often say this. However, I have met this attitude when people consider capital investment, gear investment, construction investment, but they don't feel that they need truly to invest into people, which is a factor of long-term success for any business. Invest into training, into engagement and retention, investment into further training and development of the staff and the team. But how do you engage really awesome people? When we invest into people, we intuitively want to protect our investment. We want to say, okay, we invested so much into these particular people, let us keep them. Here's what I want to tell you. We need to build the company so that we would be able to engage strong people, but this system must be open. What do I mean saying open system? This is the system where people can grow, where there are opportunities for growth. Let me tell you about one case on this stage. That's been my idea, my solution. I came up with it a few days ago. Sorry, we had this case. The partners, quite obviously, suggested to limit the opportunities for the team to move from one pizza restaurant to the other. I mean, it can only be done if the administration gives the admission. So pizza maker, for example, wants to move from the city in the Far East to Moscow, or just move to a different restaurant in the Far East of Russia. Then the franchisee can actually prohibit that from happening. I think that this would kill our business because only mobility, only talent mobility, the ability to compete for talent and allow talent to grow would help us to retain the best people. I mean, if we artificially retain talent by force, the best talent will leave or just will not come to the company whatsoever. We need to create, and our managing company will invest as much effort as we can into creating this openness in a company, create an open ecosystem so that our entire franchisee community would be open. We have over 20,000 people in our team. We want to build a system where people could grow both horizontally, vertically, moving from city to city, from restaurant to restaurant, and actually leaving Dodo, having invested some experience and knowledge and energy into Dodo, then leave Dodo and grow elsewhere. But showing other people that if you come from Dodo, you're really good and you can grow in Dodo as well. That will engage better people, stronger people into our company, so that our pizza makers, our employees will in the future become our partners, our franchisees. And here's my dream. I believe that today in our restaurants, there are people who will eventually become CEOs of our company. I want our people to become administrators, managers, working for the managing company as well. I would like to implore every single one of you, managers, partners, franchisees, to think about your successors. I'm thinking about my successor. I mean, I'm not going anywhere, but when you just think about it, when you just ask managers, who's your successor? We automatically direct our thinking, our mindset into bringing up better people. We cannot create a system where people can grow if we do not think about succession. And I implore every single partner of ours to think about this. Then eventually you'll be able to get out of daily operations and become not an operator, but the owner of the business. But the business will work just as well. Another important part of Dodo, culture. So many people joined our team because they shared the values of the company. And culture is not simply attitude. It's not simply a set of attitudes. We actually create a toolkit that supports this culture. In 2017, we have written this fabulous Dodo book. Some people outside of Dodo believe that I wrote this book. I actually had no connection to this book whatsoever. The team wrote the book. I read it and I enjoyed it after publishing. And we actually published over 1.3 million copies, paper copies of the book. And people read the book outside of Dodo. And Meetup is a good point, good reason to announce the Dodo Book 2, the sequel to the book. Yes. This fabulous book, it's been written during the previous year, and we collected 16 new stories, 16 new cases, real-life business cases with the actual conclusions and pieces of wisdom. It's all based on true events, as they say. And it's not simply a paper book. Actually, within the book, there are QR codes. And if you scan the QR code, you'll be able to move to the exclusive video content, interviews, reports. I mean, this is a sort of analog/digital book. And it's not only the collection of stories about Russia, there are stories about Africa as well. And the values and the principles that bring us together when partners from other countries are approaching us, they're also sharing our values. And these values reflect on what sort of people are working in our pizza restaurants in Nigeria, for example. And I go to Nigeria, I talk to people, and I see that they are alike. They're similar to our guys in Vladivostok or in Kazan. There is a beautiful story of growth there, the story of Dmitry Shakhanov from the town of Mazhaisk in the Moscow region. Dmitry joined our company to be pizza maker in the south of Russia in the city of Taganrog, but he had a dream of opening his own restaurant. He was persistent, he found the investment, and he opened the restaurant in the town of Mazhaisk in the Moscow region, and in June 2021, his revenue was 6.1 million rubles. Let us give a round of applause for Dima. He is the case of a wonderful growth story. He is a young person. Here's his beautiful wife and his young daughter. But it's not only about victories, it's also about failures. We are the company who wants to openly share not only its victories, but also its errors and its failures. There's a story about how we had to close our business in China, and some readers even shed a tear when reading about this story. So, guys, People is a keystone of success. It's a simple idea, but we should be thinking about it every day. And I'm sure that the partners who are listening to us right now would think, okay, people, sounds good. But how about investment? We need to find money to invest into people. So that's why we need to have fundamentally solid corporate economics. If we do not have solid economics, if we do not have revenue to spare, if we don't have income to spare and invest into talent development, we cannot survive. Income is the air of business. Without income, we cannot pay salaries, we cannot expand, we cannot innovate. That is why on this stage today, I want to be speaking about economics. I want to plant the seed, the important idea. Guys, we're not efficient enough. We are not efficient enough. You'd be surprised. I mean, we are the leaders in the market, it seems. We're opening new restaurants. How come we're not efficient enough? But we have something to benchmark against. So, in your opinion, why this beautiful Dodo naive bird did not survive? It could not fly. Why did this beautiful naive bird of Dodo did not survive? It was too trustworthy, not that fast. Okay, we're beating around the bush. It was too fat, maybe. But these are all consequences. It was kind of not even well fed. I mean, it was body positive. It was body positive, but it did not have any competition on Mauritius Island. It was living in a close confinement. And when the Portuguese arrived, it simply wiped out the bird because it was not ready to run away from this predator of human being, which was dangerous enough. So, in Russia, we are competing. I mean, we've been able to do some tremendous things. But Russian market is pretty forgiving. And I'm not even talking about the management, not even talking about pizza restaurants. I mean, guys, you were super good at productivity. This is the issue of the system. And this is our challenge. I mean, our business in the developed markets, which we're entering, we need to be thinking about the future. This is like pro sport. When you're fighting for every millimeter, you're fighting for every percentile. And let me share with you this. I want to show you this. This cap. Look at this cap. This is a gift from David Sweeney. David Sweeney is my colleague. This is franchising director of Dodo in Great Britain. I recently flew back from Britain. So, what's so special about this cap? Here's the autograph of one outstanding person, Sir Dave Brailsford. Dave Brailsford. Who is the guy? He's the cycling coach who joined Team Britain when Britain was nothing and nowhere in indoor cycling and Olympics. So when Dave joined the team, Britain started collecting 7 out of 10 gold medals at the Olympics. His team won Tour de France, etc., etc. So what was the point of Dave Brailsford? Let me tell you this. This is his story. Cycling is a sport where you fight for tiny details, for every single second. So Dave broke apart the entire system of achieving a result. And insanely, he's been trying to improve every single piece of the system, 1% after another. That led to a very significant cumulative result. This is what I'm talking about. If you achieve slight improvements, 1% improvement of every single detail, you can get tremendous cumulative effect. For example, they were carting the bicycles on trucks, and the bicycles were getting covered with dust. Is that a point? Let me tell you this. They covered the bicycles within into white color to see the level of mud, of the dust on the bicycle. He'd be thinking about the pillars that the cyclists are sleeping on. Every day, the cyclists were washing their hands like it's pandemic in order to avoid any sort of probability of getting sick, because this small virus makes an impact on the condition of the athlete in the pro sport, where you fight for every every percentile of a
Мы
second.
должны подойти к созданию, к улучшению
So
нашей
this is the way
системы,
we should
модели.
approach our
Точно
system.
так же
Similarly,
это
getting
ускорение, это
slight
сигнал, что нужно это
1%
делать,
improvement in
потому что мы
every
видим, как это
single
работает
domain of
на
our work.
развитых рынках, и то
Because
же
we see
самое
how it
будет у
works not
нас
only in
на нашем
cycling, it
рынке. Мы
works in
должны
every
делать
developed
то,
market.
что будет в будущем.
Yes, Russia is a forgiving market,
Эффективность
but we're
это
about to
условие
enter
существования,
more developed markets.
это возможность прибыль, это возможность инвестировать в условия труда, в
We need to be,
людей,
and that will
инновации,
give us a way to
технологии
invest
и
into labor
развиваться
conditions,
дальше.
into
Поэтому мы должны
technology,
быть
and keep on growing.
эффективны.
That is why we
Друзья,
must be
третье, о
as
чем я
efficient as
хочу
possible.
сегодня поговорить,
The third thing
и,
that I want to be talking about today.
возможно, опять же, для многих это просто фраза, но я хочу
For many
сегодня
of you,
действительно
these
раскрыть, что это
might
важно для
be
нас, это
mere
устойчивое
words,
развитие.
but
Знаете, кто-то скажет,
sustainability,
что это
you
модная
probably
тема.
hate the word. You're
Все
probably
говорят
saying
об
that I'm just
устойчивом
nodding
развитии,
towards a trend.
но
Everybody's
на самом
talking about
деле
sustainability
это
these days. But
для
for
меня
us,
это не модная тема, для
these
меня
are
это
not
действительно
just
важно. Я
talk.
всегда
It truly
мыслил
matters
именно
to
так.
us. I
Что
have
такое
been
устойчивое
always
развитие?
thinking,
Бизнес не находится в
stemming
вакууме,
from
особенно
sustainability.
большой бизнес.
There is not a single
Бизнес
business that
окружен
exists in the
обществом,
vacuum,
окружен
especially if it's a big
природой.
business. We're surrounded
И
by the
концепция
social
устойчивого
environment and by
развития–
natural
это
environment.
поиск
Sustainability
вин-вина для
concept
всех
is the
участников.
search for
Почему
win-win
это
for every
выгодно
stakeholder.
и
Why does
важно?
it matter?
Потому что,
Why
наверное,
is it also
циничные
profitable?
инвесторы
Probably
какие-нибудь
cynical
скажут, ребята,
investors
вы
would say,
тратите
"You
деньги,
guys spend money on that.
почему это нужно для бизнеса?
Why
Потому
would it?
что,
Why would it be
первое,
advantageous for the business?
я
Why?
отвечу этим людям,
Let me
потому что
tell you
мир
this.
поменяется, он
The
уже
world will
меняется,
change.
и
It is changing
те, кто не
today.
поменяется,
And those who are not following the
просто,
change will be
будут
staying behind.
из этого мира. Второе, это
Point
партнерство,
two,
потому что
partnerships.
Когда все участники
When every
системы
single member of
получают
the
плюс,
system
все
is
выигрывают, то
winning,
эта система
everybody is winning, then the
стабильна.
system
Поэтому
is
это
more
есть устойчивое
stable,
развитие, это более
literally more
устойчивая
sustainable.
стратегия.
So the
Что это
strategy is
означает?
therefore more
Мы
sustainable as well. What does it mean?
будем работать
We're
над
going
тем,
to work
чтобы
to be more
снижать
sustainable,
количество
to reduce our
упаковки, которые они
environmental impact.
перерабатывают,
For
опять же, эти
example,
полностью перерабатываемые
we're
упаковки.
going to
Мы
make
будем
all of our
менять
package
очень много в нашем
biodegradable.
бизнесе,
We're going
и
to
мы
change
об
a
этом
lot
уже
in how
говорили
we do
год назад,
business.
но
We
на
have
самом
been
деле
saying
я
about
понял,
that
что это очень
last year,
сложный
but
проект,
I do realize
потому
that this is
что
a very
огромное количество частей
it is a very
задействовано,
complex undertaking,
влияют на
a very
реализацию
heavy
концепции
endeavor. There
устойчивого
are so many
развития,
points that make an
и
impact on
нету каких-то быстрых
sustainability,
результатов.
and it's
Я
hard
понял,
to
что в нашей
achieve
компании нужна
large
отдельная
results
роль,
quickly. So I have
отдельный
realized that we
человек,
need to
который
have a
возьмет на себя
specific
ответственность
dedicated role in the
и
company.
действительно будет
Somebody
наш
will be in
достаточно
charge
большой
of
бизнес уже
sustainability for our
своей
relatively big
энергией
business.
менять,
So we
будет
decided to actually have a dedicated
реализовывать,
person who will
отвечать за реализацию
invest
всех
so
проектов
much
во всех
energy
частях
into the
компании.
implementation
Собственно,
of sustainability
мы ввели
projects. So that's why we
позицию
introduced
Chief
the Chief Sustainability Officer position in our
Officer, им
company.
стала Алтын Нугманова.
Altyn
была
Nugmanova is our
главным
new
нашей компании,
up-and-coming
видите,
Chief
какой
Sustainability
интересный
Officer.
поворот.
She used to
Алтын
be
здесь
the Chief Legal Expert in the company, and she's right here in the audience.
А,
Welcome our Chief Sustainability
Мы
Officer.
будем работать над тем,
We're
чтобы
going to be
перейти
working
действительно к полностью
to
перерабатываемой упаковке,
have
снизить
truly
количество отходов,
recyclable
которые мы
package and reduce the amount
создаем,
of
и
waste that we
это будет
produce in our
процесс
restaurants.
постепенный, потому
This
что мы
will be a
должны
gradual
идти всегда в
process
балансе с
because, of course,
экономикой,
we'll have to balance it with the
но
overall
наша
corporate
последовательность,
economics.
устремленность
But
может привести
our
к двигаться
consistency
к
and
результатам. Самое главное,
perseverance
что мы
in the
хотим.
long term will
Мы
deliver
хотим работать
results.
над улучшением нашего
We
продукта,
want to improve our product
потому что
because
мы делаем продукт, который приносит
we are
действительно радость
making the product
людям,
that makes people happy.
и
I mean,
люди
pizza
покупают
is
наш продукт,
always
но мы
a
хотим
joy.
думать дальше, мы хотим
But
думать о том, чтобы наш
it's
продукт
not only
стал
about joy,
более
we want
здоровым,
to make
мы
our
хотим,
product
чтобы он был
healthy
менее
as
жирным,
well,
мы
less
хотим пойти
fat.
к производителям и
We
действительно
want to approach the
с
producers,
ними
the
вместе работать над
manufacturers,
нашими
and together with
ингредиентами,
with them,
задумываться,
we want
задавать
to
вопросы,
improve
что делать с
our
нашими
ingredient
ингредиентами.
set.
Потому что мы хотим сделать
Because we
продукт
want to
будущего,
make
который люди
the
будет важно,
product of
что
the
они
future,
будут
which is not only
есть, и
joyous,
мы
but
хотим
also
сделать наш продукт
healthy.
лучше. Это будет большой фокус. Следующее, о чем я хотел
Next
поговорить,
thing that I want to talk
это
about.
технологии. И,
Technologies.
вы знаете, что мы технологическая
I
компания.
know that you know that we are a
Мы не
high-tech company.
просто
We're a high-tech business.
фуд-компания,
We're
ресторанная
not simply
компания.
a restaurant and
Мне
food and
задавали
beverage
вопрос,
company.
Федор, а вот
They often ask me,
Dodo
Fedor,
Brands не проспит ли некую технологическую революцию?
would daughter follow
большое количество
the
технологий
robotization
появляется,
and
роботы.
AI
Почему
revolution?
мы
There
до
are
сих
so
пор
many
не внедряем?
AI
Что мы делаем для этого?
technologies,
Здесь я
machine
хочу
learning,
поделиться с вами
robotization.
своим видением
Why Dodo
и
is
нашей
not
стратегией.
integrating all of those things? Let me
Смотрите,
share
что такое
our
роботы?
strategy.
Кто-то сделал там
here.
робота,
I
допустим, для
mean,
производства пиццы.
what is a
Для нас,
robot? For
для
example,
компании,
pizza
которая работает с
making.
конечным потребителем,
We are
роботы
working with
на
the
кухне,
end
которые работают,
customer.
это те же самые
Robot in the kitchen
овощерезки.
is simply a more
Потому
complex
что
veggie cutter.
мы создаем продукт для
It's a
конечного
veggie
клиента в
cutter,
виде
just a more
опыта,
complex one, because
бренда,
we create
концепции
the end
совокупной.
product,
И
a
то, как мы
brand,
это
a
создаем, мы можем
technology,
использовать печь, мы
the
можем
flavor
использовать
for the end
овощерезку,
client.
мы
I mean, we
можем
can
использовать
use a
робота,
robotized veggie cutter
который
or
какую-то
a
рутинную
robotized
операцию
oven
автоматизирует.
to execute
И я вижу
routine
нашу стратегию
tasks
такой, что мы
in
все-таки
an
компания,
automated
которая
way.
умеет
But we are
создавать
a
бренды,
company
которая умеет
that creates a brand.
обслуживать
We're a
миллионы
company that
клиентов, умеет
provides service,
создавать
the experience for millions
радость
of
нашим
clients.
клиентам.
We
И
can
мы
make
имеем
our clients
технологическую
happy.
платформу.
It's
Это
not
наше
about a
огромное
veggie cutter.
преимущество. Эта
And we
платформа
do
будет
have
развиваться.
our very
И
own
дальше мы
tech
должны
platform, which
подключать
will only get better.
различные
And we can
стартапы,
hook
которые
up
создают
different
технологии к
sorts of
нашей
startup
платформе,
to that
давая им
platform.
доступ
Those
к клиентам,
startups
которые есть
can
у нас, которые
convey
любят наши
those
бренды.
sorts of new technologies like AI,
Есть огромное количество
robots,
стартапов, с
ML,
которыми мы уже
etc.
начинаем и работаем.
There is a
Это
number of
стартапы не
startups that we're
только
working with right
в
now,
сфере
and these
IT,
are not only IT startups,
допустим,
by the way.
прогнозирование,
I
искусственный
mean,
интеллект.
forecasting prognostics using
Это стартапы
AI.
в
Those are
робототехнике. У
startups
нас
for
есть сейчас
robotization.
несколько
We're
проектов.
now working with a
Я
number
не
of
буду о них сейчас
projects,
говорить публично.
and I cannot mention
По
them in public
роботизации.
for obvious
Это
reasons,
и
but
стартапы
we
в
are doing
сфере
robots as well.
фуд-технологий.
Also, we're
Возможно, есть
working with
сегодня
food
технологии,
tech
допустим,
startups. For
заморозки,
example,
которые позволяют
freezing
не
tech,
разрушать там питательные
which
свойства
helps to
веществ.
preserve
И
nutritious
наша стратегия
traits
такая в том, что мы имеем
and
большое количество
properties
клиентов и
of the
бренды,
ingredients.
и
I
подключать
mean,
к
we
нашей
work with a
платформе
number of brands, a number of
стартапы и
products, and
технологии,
we are
которые
ready to
получат доступ
hook
к
up
этим клиентам.
startups.
Какие главные, с
What
моей точки
are
зрения,
the
события
major
произошли за
events
прошедший
that
год
happened in the previous
в нашем
year
бизнесе, в
in
управляющей
our
компании?
business
Первое,
and in the
я
managing
считаю,
company? Of
это
course,
два события,
first and
самых главных. Первое,
foremost,
это
the
анонс
announced
того, что мы
IPO.
выйдем,
We
наша
announced the
компания
IPO.
собирается через
Our company is going to
ориентировочно 3
become a
года
publicly
выйти
traded
на
company in
IPO. Я
3
думаю, что
years.
многие
And I
слышали,
believe that many of
анонсировали
you heard
план
about it.
333,
We have
3
this
бренда, 3
triple
года,
three plan,
30 миллионов
3 years, 3
EBITDA
brands,
управляющей компании.
30 million
И
EBITDA for
вот
the
этот план.
managing company, $30 million.
И
Here's our
знаете,
plan,
вопрос в том, что
333 plan.
до нашего
But
IPO франчайзи.
why would
Вообще,
the
это, может быть,
franchisees
праздник
care?
только управляющей
I mean,
компании.
it's a
Зачем я вам про это
celebration for the
рассказываю? Я
managing
хочу сказать
company.
здесь две
Why?
вещи. Первое,
Let me tell you two things.
что
First,
даст IPO нашим партнерам?
what would
Это
the
сделает
IPO
наш
deliver
бренд,
to our
наш
partners?
бизнес
That will
более
make our
устойчивым в
brand, our
долгосрочном.
business
Владение
more sustainable,
пиццерией
more
компании, которая
robust
является
and
публичной,
resilient
оно
in the
сильно
long
повышает
term. I mean, if you
капитализацию
own if you're a
пиццерии,
franchisee of the
бренда.
company that
Я
is
думаю,
publicly
что
traded,
это
that increases the
долгосрочность.
capitalization of the
Второе,
brand
о чем я хочу
and the
сегодня
worth
объявить,
of your
я думаю, что
particular
немножко такая
restaurant.
сенсационная даже будет новость.
Another a bombshell of
Вообще
the
мы
news.
хотим, чтобы наши
We
франчайзи
want our
становились
franchisees to
акционерами
be
управляющей
the
компании, чтобы мы были одним
stockholders,
большим бизнесом,
stakeholders of our business.
взаимосвязанным. И мы приняли
So we
решение
want
внутри
this IPO to be
компании,
connected to our actual
что когда
business.
мы
That's
будем
why
выходить на IPO,
we have come up with decisions. So when
то
we
мы дадим
announce the
возможность
IPO,
нашим
we'll
партнерам
give the
франчайзи
preliminary
до
period for
выхода
our
еще на
franchisees
биржу
before the
официальных
actual
торгов
IPOs
участвовать
to
в первичном
participate in
размещении
the
акций
initial
по
primary
цене
IPO
размещения.
and
Поясню,
buy
что
the
это за
stocks
сложная
at
конструкция.
their
Смотрите, когда компания
face
выходит на
value.
IPO,
For example,
объявляется
when the
цена,
company
по которой
announces the
покупают акции
IPO, they
крупные
announce
инвесторы. Это
the
банки,
price of the stock for
инвестиционные
large
банки, какие-то
investors,
крупные инвестиционные
hedge
фонды.
funds,
И только
investment
после этого
funds,
компания
large banks,
появляется
and
на
only
бирже
after
и
that,
начинает
the
торговаться в
company is
свободном
actually
формате.
openly,
Как правило,
publicly
эта цена,
traded
она
at the stock
выгодная,
exchange. Usually, the initial
потому
price
что
is more
компания хочет
favorable
после этого
because the
расти,
company
чтобы
wants to
цена
grow,
росла,
so that the
и
price of the
крупные
stock would
инвесторы
increase when
покупали
it's
по ней
actually
выгоднее.
at the
Так
stock
вот,
exchange.
как правило, вот это
So,
количество акций, оно в дефиците. То есть
of
инвесторы,
course,
если
this
IPO
amount of
хорошее, они
shares
планируют сделать
is
хорошее
limited.
IPO, они выстраиваются в очередь,
And
кому-то
the
отказывают. Мы
investors
хотим
for the good IPO
забронировать
are always
достаточно
standing in line.
серьезный пул
We
акций для
want
наших
to
партнеров,
book
чтобы у
a
франчайзи,
significant
кто на момент
pool of
нашего
shares
IPO
before the
была
actual
возможность
IPO so
стать
that
нашими
our
акционерами
franchisees
по
can become the
тем
shareholders
же
of
условиям,
Dodo
самым крупным
before the
инвесторам.
shares are publicly
Вторая
traded,
новость.
and you will be on par
Большая
with the
эта года. Мы
largest
вышли
investors.
за границы пиццы, как мы и
Also, we're
планировали, как
going
мы и
outside
обещали.
the borders
Мы
of
действительно
pizza, just
запустили два
as we
прекрасных
have said. We have
стартапа.
launched two
Это
new groovy
Drinkit.
startups.
Сегодня
The
мы будем
Drinkit,
рассказывать о том, как развиваются дела в
we'll be
Drinkit.
talking about
И
how things are
это
doing with Drinkit
донорная,
today, and our
донор
Donor
42,
42
открыта в декабре
that we
2020
opened in
года.
December 2020.
И Я очень рад, что
And indeed,
сложились очень классные,
I'm happy
крутые
that these
команды.
startups
Команда — это
are
вообще
doing
основа.
really
И
well.
важно не
The
просто
teams
открыть
are very
точку.
powerful,
Важно, чтобы была
very
команда,
vibrant.
которая
So,
сможет
because it's not about opening one
развивать
particular point of sale.
бренд, который
There should be a
сможет
team
развивать
behind
концепцию.
that will be able
И
to
я считаю, что это
help the brand
самое
grow
главное
and scale the
достижение.
brand
Две
up.
прекрасные
Well, I believe that
команды.
these two teams have been very
Часто
successful,
спрашивают меня,
and
почему
they
так долго,
presented
почему так долго
evident
развиваем
achievements.
стартапы,
So,
масштабируемся.
but
Друзья,
why
у
are
нас
we not
сложный
scaling
бизнес,
them
мы
yet?
строим
What takes us
очень
so long?
большие,
Guys,
длинные истории,
our business is
и
complex in terms
огромное
of
количество
operations.
деталей. Мы
There is
хотим
so much
действительно
detail
сделать
there.
классные,
We want to
долгосрочные
make
продукты. Не просто
a
слепать
robust,
бренды,
long-term
пользоваться
project,
известностью
not just
Dodo в
release
России. Нет, мы хотим
half-baked
делать всё так
brands.
же
No,
основательно и
we
долгосрочно,
want
как мы
to
это делаем
actually
с пиццей.
introduce
И у
into the
нас, друзья,
market
есть еще третий
long-term
стартап.
brands like Dodo with a
Кто
pizza.
знает какой?
Another third startup of ours, which one do you know?
Да, Dodo Pizza Великобритания.
Dodo
Всё
Pizza
верно, это
UK. That's our
настоящий
startup.
стартап.
That
Мы
truly is a
запустили
startup. We have
в
launched
конце прошлого
it
года,
last
вообще
year,
запускалась
in the end of the last
концепция
year,
весь прошлый год в пандемию, новую концепцию. И этот
launching
вот
a
рынок
new
вообще,
concept
чем
during the
Dodo UK
pandemic
может
in the
быть
new
полезен
market. Think about it, the
большому
mature
количеству
market.
партнеров в России?
Why
Во-первых,
is
это
it
тот рынок, где нам
useful for
придется
our Russian
применить
market?
подход
UK
Дейла Брейфорда
is
и
the market
создать
where
очень
we
эффективную систему.
apply
Это рынок,
this
где нужно
cycling
быть
approach,
суперэффективным,
where
и
we
те
need to be
технологии,
super
которые мы
efficient
там
at every
разработаем,
single
они
detail of
будут
our
перенесены
business.
в Россию и вообще по всему миру. Второе —
Next,
это наш R&D продуктовый. Мы запустили
our
там
product
совершенно новый
R&D.
продукт
We
на
have
новом
launched a
тесте.
set of
При этом
completely new
технология
products
была
based on new
разработана в
DAO.
Китае,
This
потом
technology was
перенесена в
first developed
UK,
in China, then
адаптирована под
transitioned to
британский
UK
рынок.
and
Это всё нас развивает.
adapted for
Не
UK
только
market.
мы были всегда
And
IT-компанией,
it's
но
not
мы
only that
становимся
we've
очень
been the
крутой
IT
компанией в
company,
сфере
now we're becoming an awesome company
технологий,
for food tech.
разработки продуктов. И опять же,
We're getting
если
better and better
это
at product
прекрасный продукт,
development.
и
And
когда
this
мы
is
поймем, как эти
an
технологии масштабировать, мы
amazing
будем
product.
переносить и на другие рынки, в том
And
числе,
as soon
возможно,
as we
когда-то
learn to
перенесем
scale
и
this technology,
в
we
Россию.
shall transition it to
И,
Eurasia
друзья,
as
я
well.
сейчас на эту сцену
And,
приглашаю нашего
dear ladies
первого
and gentlemen, let me
стартапера, лидера,
invite to this stage our first
операционного лидера
startup
стартапов
leader,
в
the operational
Великобритании,
leader for
Екатерину
UK,
Ландреву.
Ekaterina Landy.